Hey, I'm Angie, the owner of The Mindful Mane, and today we're going to be doing the halo haircut. The halo haircut is a rest technique that adds volume to the hair and width on the sides. On long hair, it's going to give you that hourglass silhouette, kind of like a Sabrina Carpenter style haircut. The halo haircut can actually be used to do a variety of styles and shapes, from the Sabrina Carpenter style haircut even to wolf cuts. But today we're just going to focus on the basic placement of a halo haircut, and then eventually in our training we can learn how to use that basic sectioning to do all different styles of haircuts. We're also not going to be worrying about length today. This mannequin has already been prepped, her ends have already been trimmed, and again we're just going to worry about the basic placement for those sections for the halo haircut. So the first section that we're going to take with the halo haircut is we're going to have our center part. Now my mannequin has bangs. If you didn't have bangs, you would just part that all the way through the center. I'm going to find the top highest point of the head, which is about right there. And we're going to create a band section on either side of that highest point, about 1 inch thick. I will get you a better shot of what this looks like as soon as I get it in. So just on either side, right up above the ear and at that highest point. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to take that band section. And then again, right across the top. So it's almost looking like we're giving her a headband right across the top of her head. So if you can see that, I'm going to pull this tighter. We have that sectioning here, about 1 inch band all the way across from ear to ear. Now that we have our band section in, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a small section from either side of that band, making sure to keep that section in place. Kind of like a little square right off the top. So I have a little bit of each side. I have a little bit of each side right there in the center. We're going to hold the hair straight up from where it lives. I back up a little bit. We're going to hold that up straight up from where it lives, and this is where the first part of our layers are going to start. We're going to decide how much we want to take off. If you want, you can take this section, drop it down to see where that's going to fall at the back of your client's head, and that'll kind of give you a good idea of where you want those layers to stop. So I'm going to take off a little over 1 inch just so that we can really see it. We're going to comb that straight up. I'm going to turn her so she's facing you. And we are going to cut that off. I will go back and forth between point cutting and just blunt cutting. For today, we're just going to do blunt cutting just to get the basic shape in. Now we're going to divide that section in half and drop it on either side of our band. We're going to take another section of our band and we're going to hold that straight up. So we're still inside our section. Maybe I'll come up here so it's a little easier to see. So we're still inside our band section. So you want to hold the hair straight up from where it lives. So this is straight and this is straight. We're not over directing for this basic shape. We're just going to hold it straight out. And we'll cut that off. Now we're going to split that in half. We're going to grab another section. Don't make it too wide because you want to make sure you don't get any over direction when you're holding that straight out. So now I've got another section of my band. We're going to hold that straight out from where it lives. So we're straight here, we're straight here. We're not over directing. We're also not over directing this way or that way. So from this side, you want to make sure you're holding that straight out. You're not pulling forward and you're not pulling back. It's right above that section. Right here. Now, cut that off. And we're going to split that in half again. We'll grab a little bit. I always leave this little bit over the ear so that we don't accidentally cut a hole. We can always go back and adjust that later. So same thing, we're going to pull this out right where it lives. We're not over directing forward or back, going straight up so that this is a straight line, that's a straight line. And there's only a teeny tiny bit left to cut off. Just like that. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're going to split this back in half. We're going to start walking down our section. We're still pulling within that band section. We're going to split it, holding straight out. And then this last little bit, remember, we leave a little bit above the ear. We leave a little bit above the ear. So that we don't accidentally create a hole over her ear. Pull that straight out. Okay, so now we actually have the halo part of the haircut in. It's almost like a headband right across the top of the head. So now that we have that, we're going to take this whole headband section and we're going to comb it straight back. So here's the headband section we just had. This was our headband section. We're going to comb all of this straight back. So now we have that guide. So now we're going to be doing the back of the head. And so we're going to be following the head shape in about 1-inch sections. You should have a head sheet of these sectionings if you need to follow along. So right based off the center, we're going to do another 1-inch section all the way down, following the head shape. And we're just going to clip this out of the way so you can this. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to take that small 1-inch band. And just so you can see, we're going to clip this out of the way. And if you're with your client and you want to keep your section clean, you're still welcome to clip these out of your way so that you know that you're only picking up the hair right here in this section. It's basically your mohawk section. So this is what we've got. So now, just like we did before with the band section, we're going to hold this up from where it lives. We're going to start in little 1-inch square sections. We're going to pull this straight up. We're going to hold this straight up. Again, not over directing forward or back, and also not over directing from left to right. Right out from where it lives. We're going to pull that straight up. There's our guide. I'm going to cut that off. Split that in half. Grab another 1/2-inch section. Pull it straight up from where it lives. Now, if you notice like pinching, like too much over directing from the base, like here, like you can see this is kind of coming in, that means my section is too big. Hold it right up from where it lives. We're going to cut that. And you're just going to kind of keep walking it down until you get to the occipital bone. And then we want to be careful that we're not going too short. We're going to hold that straight up from where it lives. We're actually starting to run out of length right here. There's the end bit that's short there, and then here's my guide. So we're almost just connecting that really. And we're just going to check, but she probably doesn't have any more hair to cut down here anyway. Not really, there's a little bit of scragglers, so we're just gonna cut that off. But I'm gonna stop about right there. I'm over directing this section a little bit just to preserve length down here. So that section is done. Now we're gonna move on to the next section. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out this clip that's here on the right. And now you're gonna make a C shape following the head. Again, keeping that 1 inch section. So now we're kind of making a C section or a half moon. So again, I'll clip this so that we keep that clean and you can see. And I will comb all this back so you can see a clean section. So this is what that section looks like right here. Okay. So you want to stand on the opposite side of the section. So my section is on her right, so I'm going to stand over here on her left. And the reason that is because you don't want to pull the hair towards you, because you're more likely to get some over direction and not really be holding the section out straight. But if I'm standing on the opposite side, I can pull that straight out from where it lives, and I can really see if I'm straight. So it looks like I'm over directing forward, but I'm actually keeping it flush to the section. So we'll do it that way. You can see it's really just flush to the section right where it lives. Pull that straight out, keep your tension nice and tight. We're gonna do the same thing like we did. We're gonna cut that in half. We're gonna stay in our section. Pull it out. Cut it in half. Now see, we're getting into that C shape. So we're still following within that. So you can see I'm still pulling it out right where the section lives. Cut that. Again, we want to make sure that we don't create any holes in the perimeter. So I'm going to leave some of this length out down here at the bottom. I can always go back and detail that later, but I don't want to create any problems. So we're going to come here, pull that straight out. There's just a little bit left. And we're done with that section. So now we're going to comb all this back. And I will clip this away. So now we just have this last section here. But again, we're right over the ear, which is where we can create holes. So we're going to C-section out that bit where we could get a hole. And this is all we're going to be working with, is this last little bit. You can see that C-section there. This is the last bit. I'm going to change it this way so maybe you see a different angle. This will probably be 2-3 sections at the most because it's so small. So we're going to drop that down, pull it out from where it lives, and cut that. We're going to divide this in half. And I feel safe taking this whole section because even though I'm over directing this, you see how some of it's falling out? That's good. All right, so there really wasn't a lot to cut there. And we are done with that side, and we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. So this is everything from the center, our first section. I still have that other bit sectioned out, so I know exactly where I'm going. This is all the hair that we just did. So we're gonna pull all that to the side so that we don't get confused. And we're gonna clip that. And now we just have these 2 sections on this side because we've already done the center. So again, we are following the head shape. We want to make sure that we don't get into the side bit. So I'm gonna, all I did was clip my front bit out of the way so that I didn't accidentally grab that. And we're going to take our C section, half moon, and if you want to make sure you don't grab it, you can clip that out of the way. Now, like I said before, you want to stand on the opposite side. So if she's sitting in your chair, you want to stand on the opposite side of your section. You don't want to stand at the section because then I would have to pull towards myself and I'm more likely to make a mistake that way. So we're going to stand on the opposite side. We're going to take that small bit, just a little bit that I can control and not over direct with. We're going to pull it straight out from where it lives, just like the other side. We're not going forward, back, side to side, straight out from where it lives from that section. Pull it out, cut, make sure your tension is nice and tight, drop that. I'm going to go a little bit faster on this side. You can slow it down if you need, but we already did the other side and we're just repeating it. And you saw how I got my section, then I pulled it towards me to cut. Only do that when your tension is really, really strong and you know that hair is not going to move. If your tension is not really tight, then you want to keep it out and cut. Now, I am dropping out this last bit for her perimeter. I'm going to take a tiny bit more, but I'm not going to go all the way into her perimeter because I don't want to risk cutting a hole in that. And there's nothing to cut anyway. So now we're done with that section. That felt pretty fast. We're on our last section on this side. Do I have a clip there? I do. We're going to get all this out of the way. We're on our last section on this side, which is right here. We're going to take our C shape or our half moon shape. We're going to take out around the ear so that we don't cut a hole. So now we've just got this last bit right here. I'm going to stand on the opposite side of my section. Again, I can probably do this in 2 sections because it's pretty small. We're going to pull it out right from where it lives. So that's what that's going to look like, right from where it lives. And we're going to cut that. Then I'm going to drop this in half, or I'm just going to like set it in that section there. And I'm going to leave out the perimeter. And there's actually just one tiny little hair to cut. So now we're done with the back. So I'm going to take all the clips out of the back. I'm going to brush it all back. So we have finished the whole back section. So now we're going to move on to the front. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to take a little bit of the back as our guide. So I'm going to divide this in half, and that's just to give me, it's going to be easier to make those sections with the hair not going straight back. So I'm just parting it down a little bit so that it's easier. That sounded confusing, sorry. So we're going to take a sliver of the back. Maybe a little bit less than what we started with our band section. So I just took a little bit, I just took a little bit of the back, and we can clip that away if we need so that we don't get lost. Now I'm going to take out my front sections, and I am going to brush all of this hair forward. So now we have our guide from the back in the front section. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that same section that we took in the back. We're going to follow that through. So it's a little 1 section on either side of a center part. And I feel like I can already hear you asking, what if she has a side part? I still part in the center. And if she center parts, I'm parting in the center, or I'm taking that band right there. If she has a side part, I'm still going to take a center section, and this will be the only time I would over direct. So I hope this doesn't get too confusing. So right now we're just going to start with a center part, But if she has a side part, we're going to over direct that towards her part. We're going to over direct towards where she parts. So if she parts, let's say she parts on this side, I'm going to over direct my section towards her part. And then I'm going to do the same thing for each section. I'm going to slightly over direct towards her part. And then on this side, we're going to stay towards her part there. But for today, and for just the ease of simplicity, we're going to do everything down the center. So we're going to take this section. This is what we've got. We've just got, and she has bangs, but it's just like the back that we took straight down the center. We've just got a rectangular section down on either side of her part. I'll do it from the front. We're going to hold this straight up, just like this. There's our guide. We're going to cut that length off. And then we're going to drop the whole thing off to the side, because we've already got our guide all the way through the side from the back section. So now we're going to take another 1-inch section, again, horizontal. These horizontal sections here are what are creating width and volume on the sides. So again, we're going to hold it straight out from where it lives, just like we did in the back. So here's my section. We're holding it straight out from where it lives. Straight up. There's my guide. We're going to cut that off. And we're going to twist and drop it over. This last section is kind of right here at the parietal ridge. So it might be a little bit smaller depending on the head shape. She's got a very small head because she's a mannequin. But I'm going to keep my perimeter out just like I did in the back. So we've got one more. That's not super clean. We've got one more horizontal section here with my perimeter dropped out. Again, we're going to stand on the opposite side, just like we did in the back. Pull it out straight from where it lives. Make sure you're not going down or towards you or towards the left or towards the right. We're holding it straight out. I see my guide, and we're going to cut that off. And now we're done with that side, and we're going to move on to the other side. So this was our center section that we did, so we can go ahead and drop that. And we just have the 2 sections on the sides. So we have our 1-inch section here. Stand on the opposite side of your section. Pull it straight out from where it lives. See your guide. Cut that off. The next section that we're going to do is kind of right at the parietal ridge, and I want to drop out above the ear so that I don't cut into my perimeter and leave a hole. So this is a smaller section. Oh, she has a smaller head. Stand on the opposite side, pull it straight out. There's my guide. Cut off the length. Now we're going to take out clips. We're going to brush everything back and out, because we now have officially finished the basic part of a halo haircut. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to add a little bit of texture while it's wet, but then we'll do the majority of our texturizing while she's dry. Okay, so now we're going to do the texturizing part of our halo haircut. So we don't have to go through and redo our band section again. All we're going to do is we're going to divide the hair front and back, and we'll section it off to keep it clean. So from the top to the ear, so a section from ear to ear. So the texturizing shears that you pick are going to be dependent on the client's texture. So this is where we could either choose to point cut if we feel like the client's hair texture doesn't support a texturizing shear. I have 2 different texturizing shears that I will use if I'm not point cutting. This one is more of your standard, almost kind of thinning shear. The teeth are really close together and really tight. This is better for silky hair that isn't going to frizz out on you. I would never use these on someone who has really frizzy hair because it will make their hair more frizzy. So this is really good for someone even like me, maybe, even though I don't use them on my hair a ton because my hair is really fine. So this shear is best for higher density, finer hair to create a soft blend. These are wider. These emulate point cutting more. I could use these on curly hair or frizzier hair. Because the teeth are so wide, it's still going to leave a lot of hair together so that it doesn't get as frizzy. And these are actually going to be the ones that I use on my mannequin today because she has just finer, thinner hair. And so it's not going to take out a lot of hair like my other ones would, but it will give her some movement and some shape. Or if I didn't use these, I would be point cutting, but just for ease, we're going to use these today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back through the exact same section that we did before, where we take our band in the center. And a band. We're going to take this section here. Whoop. Where's my clip? Okay. So I can take a slightly wider section. It doesn't have to be those small 1-inch sections. I can take something slightly wider. With texturizing, you do have to be really careful because you don't want to make someone's hair feel too thin, too collapsed, or too frizzy. So with her, I feel pretty safe to go about that deep in her hair. I'm not going to focus just on her ends, and I don't want to go too deep because I'm not trying to remove a ton of volume. So if she were super dense, I'd want to remove a little bit more density, and I could go a little bit deeper. She is not that dense, so we're really just trying to create movement in her ends. So we're going to do, that's about like maybe 2 inches, and I am just going to break it up. You're almost kind of bricklaying it. I'm just kind of going back and forth and breaking it up and seeing if there are any what look to be thicker sections. I only do a little bit while it's dry, and then or when it's wet, and then when it's dry I can really see better where they're carrying some weight, and we'll go back through and do it then. Now, so I am going to do this just in 2 sections. So I am going to pull up her perimeter even though we dropped it out last time, because I want to make sure that the layers and the perimeter all blend together. I feel like when I'm doing this underneath section, I can go a little bit deeper than I do on the top, because this is going to be where the majority of people's hair lives. This is the most dense part of their hair. So I'm going to pull all of that up. I am kind of over directing the underneath a little bit. Again, I'm just going in and I'm bricklaying a little bit. I'm not overdoing it. I'm not going crazy. We're just breaking it up a little bit. And now we're going to take the exact same sections that we had before. So we're going to take out this. We're going to take our C section. I'm not going to clip it this time because I feel like you know where we're going. Drop that out. Hold it straight out. We're just kind of breaking it up. I'm going to grab this whole section and we're going to break it up. Again, kind of like a bricklaying pattern, and we're done. And again, for this side, I'm going to take the whole section, even the perimeter that we dropped out, because I want to blend it, make sure that it's blended with our layers. We're just kind of bricklaying it. And we're done with that side. Then we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to drop that clip. We're going to spin her around. We're going to take our C section. Cut it in half. Pull it out about 2 inches down. Brick lay just a little bit. Again, don't overdo it while it's wet. We're going to take the whole section all the way down to the perimeter. Make sure that it's blending. We can go a little bit deeper under the occipital bone because again, people are denser here. And now we're on that last section. We're going to pull this whole thing up. She's already looking kind of thin to me. So I really don't want to remove a lot of weight. So I'm just going to kind of even go in and point cut with my texturizing shears just to break it up. But this section just already looked kind of thin. Texturizing is very visual. It's something that you really have to train your eye on. It's all about seeing how dense that section is, how dense that area is, and trying to even it out and kind of create space in there. So now we're going to do the same sectionings on the top. We're taking that rectangular shape there. We're going to hold it out. I'm going to get a little bit closer. Maybe you can see kind of what I'm doing here. So see, she's already pretty thin. Like she's already pretty thin. I don't really want to overdo it, but I do see that like this piece looks kind of thick and she's thicker here than she is on either side. So I'm just going to come in and point cut that, so it just looks a little bit more even. And then sometimes, depending on how dense the client is here, she's not very dense, so I'm going to do this. If she had really thick hair, I would break this up into my 2 sections. She's not very thick, so I'm going to take this whole section in one go. We're going to pull it up and break this up. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We've got that last section. We're going to pull the whole thing up. Okay. So we have finished all of the steps in the wet part of this haircut. So I am going to blow dry her and we're going to come back and see the detailing that we can do. Once she's dry and we can really see what her shape looks like. Okay, so we've blown her out and you can see all the volume that she has. Lots of width on the sides, lots of volume. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. If she had longer hair, you'd really kind of see that hourglass shape because this perimeter would be a little bit longer, or you could take her layers shorter to get a little bit of that look. But this is it without any dry detailing, which just shows you how great of a cut this really is. This is really one of the other places that you can put kind of your signature style onto a haircut. So I feel like dry finishing is really important. So one thing that I notice is there's not a lot of texture going on. Like I can see a little bit in here, but there's not really much going on. So I do want to kind of zhuzh that up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is kind of in the same placement that we took, like this. I don't take like the cleanest sections when it's dry, but I'm going to go up kind of in that section that we took at the very beginning in the back, that mohawk section. And I'm just going to pull this up. Again, I don't mind over directing, but I just want to add some shape there in the ends. And I'm going to get close so you can see what I'm doing. Right now, there's really no notching in there to give her movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my straight blades pointing down and at an angle. And we're literally going to go in and notch out some ends. So you see how different that looks. That's going to give her more movement in the ends. And I'll step back so you can see that in a second, but we're just going to kind of go through almost like pie shaped sections. So you can see I just finished right here. And now I'm going to kind of take a pie section here a little bit. Just this section here, I'm just taking a pie. And I'm going to hold that up. And I'm going to do the same thing here where I don't feel like this is pretty blunt. So it's not going to give her movement. So I'm going to come in angled, and I'm going to just notch that out so it looks a little bit more like that. And what that's doing is it's creating more space in her hair to give it more movement. Because like right here, there's not really, well, this is where it's thinner, but across the top, it's just straight. So we're going to go through and add some space in that haircut. And let's see, you can see a little bit, she's getting a little bit more texture in there. It's hard to see with her hair color because it's basically all the same. But this is where they're just gonna love having that movement that they can see more when they add some texturizing spray or texturizing product. And if I want to make sure I'm keeping the width on the sides, I can take that horizontal section here and pull it up and do the same thing. We're just going to get rid of that straight line and try to give her some more movement there on the sides. And this is just the Bombshell Blowout. So you could see a lot of her volume, but we could also go and add curls to this, and it's going to be a slightly different look. It's, you know, not going to be quite as voluminous if we put in some more longer beachy curls. Another thing that I want to show you that I like to do is giving her some, like, if she wants some like tapered back texture that kind of comes away from her face, I will find that top point there, and I'm going to take a diagonal back section. I'll clip this so you can see. So I've taken that diagonal back section, and I'm going to take another diagonal back section so that I drop out the perimeter, and I'm going to pull this towards her face, and I'm going to angle my fingers so that it's going shorter to longer. So if I go this way, I'm going to push my pointer fingers straight out. So now I have an angle there. And that is going to give her some pushed back texture. I'm going to bring her closer so you can see. You see this angle? We've just kind of created that texture in there that will push her hair out back away from her face. You can see that pretty little point that it created right there. This is again where you add detail that either you want to see, your signature style, or something that the client has requested. Sometimes I'll take that section on the top and I'll do the same thing. We're going to pull it forward, push my pointer fingers forward. So we're creating again that kind of pushed back look there. So she gets that movement. We're just going to do it on the other side. So I take that from the top, diagonal back here, so you can see that. I'll clip it. Oops. And then I'm going to drop out the perimeter. We're going to pull it all towards her face. Now, because I'm on the other side, I'm actually going to keep my pointer fingers towards her head and push out the back part of my palm to get that angle. So I'll explain that again. I'm on this side of her. I want this to be shorter and this to be longer down at the bottom so that it goes short to long when she pushes it back. So that means whatever part of my hand is closer to her head needs to try and stay closer to her head while the other part of my hand pushes out, pushing out this way. So I've got that angle. So now this, because my hand is pushed forward here, I'm going to be preserving more length there than I am at the top. And at the other side, when I was on this side, the back part of my hand is closer to her head. That's why I pushed out my fingers, my fingertips, and kept this closer to her head. All right, you've officially finished your halo haircutting class. The next step is going to be bringing in a model so that you can do this on a live person.